Welcome. Good day to all of you. It's a pleasure to have you in the Process Rising chat room today. I know we have had quite a hectic, brief moments before today's session, but it is still a delight to have you. To all of our viewers, today we have in the studio Mr. Abhijit Roy, who is going to tell us about who he is and what he means when he talks about synergy, the journey so far. Now, I have known Abhijit for well over a year now through the Toastmasters International Virtual World, and I must say that he is a very committed and dedicated gentleman, and he is so passionate about our Toastmasters brand and our journey. But today we want to find out more about what he does outside of Toastmasters and what all of the lessons that he's learning from Toastmasters is helping him to do in his community and with his friends. So I will turn over the control, as we say, over to you, Abhijit. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Abhijit and what has been your journey? From childhood till now. Just in a brief moment, we'll go into the details later on. So just tell our audience a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Patricia, for that opportunity and wonderful introduction that you just mentioned to all the viewers who are watching us in this live chat room. Well, I'm Abhijit, and the name, as suggests in the way Indians talk about the meaning of the real name, is a person who always aspires to win, and that is what my name has been given by my grandmother way back when I was born in 1986. But I would talk a little very brief about my childhood start with. I was born as a first child to my parents just after a year of marriage of my mother and father. And then after that, I grew up. But life has never been a smooth sail for me because the moment I was born, I was being diagnosed with white yellow jaundice. And then I was kept in an incubator. And then there was a lot of issues with my health to start with when I was very young. As time progressed, as I started growing up, there were again a lot of challenges with some incidents which happened, and I was unable to walk when I was just about 4 years old. A lot of things went down with that, but then it was a it was a it was a challenge. I would say it was not just a challenge for me, but as for my parents as well, because I was the only child then. But when I turned 7, I was not just my parents, but I was also blessed to have a baby sister, and she's about 7 years old. I'm more than an elder brother. It's like I'm more of a guardian and a second father to her. And uh, we have been growing up with a lot of fights, arguments, more than the love. I would say to describe that, more than the love, what probably people would see, there has always been quarrels, arguments, fights, and whatnot. And that is over a period of time. Today, I realize that those fights and arguments that we used to have it when we were young actually led us to bring us even more closer. And so this is a message to all the viewers and the audience who are watching us. If you have siblings, if you are young or old, fight with them, argue with them, beat them to the core, because at the end you will realize that when you do that, you love them the most. So that's a message from that perspective. But coming up to
Okay,
my
now I want to chip in before you go on
yeah,
further. I want to chip in because there are those who may be listening and will be thinking, "Oh, Abhijit is beating people and he's abusing people." I know you're talking about it in terms of the lighter side of life because I also grew up with siblings, older siblings, younger siblings, and of course, those childhood moments where you would have um, kids get into kids' fights, whether it's over toys or whether it's over your turn to change the channel to watch your own show, or whether it's about who has to do the dishes or the chores. All of those things do get siblings into what we term those cat fights. And I know we have all gone through our own share of discipline and also disciplining other younger siblings. And it is more out of love, as you said. And it just brings back to me one quote from the good book, and it says to stir the rod and then you spoil the child. Basically, I think it is just to say that sometimes you need to, as it were, get certain habits or certain things that need to be gotten rid of uh, through some of these childhood or teenager quarrels, arguments, and that's how we all get to grow up and develop and get to know what the likes of people are, what their dislikes are, and all of those things. So I quite understand where you're coming from. Now, you mentioned one critical aspect of your growing up where you couldn't walk at a moment or at a period. Were you going to school at that time, and how was that for you? How was that experience? And could you just give us a little throwback? How was that experience for you?
So what exactly happened, Patricia, is that when I was in class one, and I was about 4 to 5 years old, if I remember. What happened was it was a weekend, and we were all off. We didn't have school that time when it was a Saturday and Sunday. So my dad was off to work, and I was with my mom. My mom was doing some household work in the kitchen, and while I was playing around, it so happened that I, all of a sudden, I just took a couple of steps and I fell down. The moment I fell down, I really did not cry because it was not out of the I hurt myself, but the moment I stood up and started walking, I just couldn't. I again fell down, and it was something which I was not knowing what exactly happened with me. The reason is because I was young, and probably I did not have any clue. So I screamed and I called my mom. And when my mom came in, and she said that, okay, try and walk, son. But unfortunately, I just couldn't. So she had to hurriedly call my uncle, who was a homeopathic doctor, and
Okay.
he suggested my mom to immediately, on another visit, call the hospital and take me to the emergency for a kind of inspection of what happened. The moment I was done, so went to the hospital. I was diagnosed and I was being admitted. What I could gauge what exactly happened was there was my bone marrow. What we in biology we understand human biology, that we all have bone marrows, and the bone marrow was filled with water, had got filled with water. So what
Oh,
eventually happened was the flow of blood couldn't be, and if you don't have flow of blood in your bone marrow, certainly you will not be able
yes.
to walk. Your ligament or your one up of the body obviously will become paralyzed, and that is exactly what it was, initial paralysis that you can call it for. uh, Certainly, to a larger extent, I was being admitted for almost a couple of weeks in the hospital, witnessed so many other patients around. I was the only one who was pretty young around that time. But then there was other people struggling and crying of different pain with different kind of issues that they're having. But it was all
But I
God's grace, and
believe
I
that
was
it
lucky
builds
enough.
some sort of, yes, I believe it does sort of experience also builds in you that desire to fight, that determination to get back on your feet, that determination to get over that particular challenge. So, at what point, of simply challenging yourself to be able to walk again, the experience of actually challenging yourself to overcome that painful experience, how have you seen that experience inspire you to do more in your teenage years or in your adult life? Do you find that it
Uh,
has built some sort of resilience in you?
I would say not really. It did matter much to me when I kind of recovered with that, because at the end of the day, it was by Almighty. It was some kind of you can say miracle that happened, and somehow I was not being really operated, and that happened. But after that, it was a never look back attitude kind of a thing, because what was past for me remained the past, and that is something which I will obviously think about it, but not really take it with me in my journey of life. uh,
Okay.
yes, over the next, I would say 5 to 10 years, there was a lot of struggle, because when I was young, I was a good runner, but after this incident, I probably couldn't run much. I used to struggle. I lost my pace. I lost my strength of running hard. But then, with the determination that I always had to challenge my limits and challenge myself, I carried that thing in my hopes and the determination to really do beyond what I could actually aspire for. So, if I
Wow.
say
And
apart
that
from what
also
I do
reminds
today,
me, yes, because you also mentioned you're a marathoner. So, I mean, just talking about how you were able to challenge and go beyond, I want you to share with us how many marathons have you participated in, and what lessons do you want to share out of that experience?
well, I really do not have those bibs with me. I just kept it in the cupboard just about a hour back. Otherwise, I could have just flipped it and shown how many bibs I do have. Probably to count that, I have captured more than 50 marathons yet in this last four years, and it has
Wow,
been
amazing.
a great experience. It has been a really truly inspirational for me, and a great experience for me, Patricia, and for all those audience who are hearing out. If you have any problem, the best way to is face it, and that's the lesson that I have learned truly. Every single run that I have witnessed in a marathon, I have benchmarked a time, because in marathons, if you all remember, there's a time that you complete. It's a run that it's a race that you run to challenge yourself only. There's no a win or a lose. It's just about
That's right.
challenging your own self, or own pace that you go for. And every single time I have challenged myself, and I have been able to reduce the time from what I had run previously. So that makes me feel much better. But then
Yeah.
again, life is something, again, a different experience. The pandemic struck, COVID has come, complete lockdown, nothing to do. And in the month of December this 2020, I met with a very severe accident all over again. Unfortunately, I had a fracture in my left leg, and which again led me not to again participate in any kind of virtual marathons if I had to. So yeah, I mean, what I really mean to say is that
Would you say that?
there has been topsy
would you?
turvies and things like that.
Yes. Would you say that breaking your leg or getting into those sort of accidents that causes you to go through a period of pain and then challenging your body to heal and yourself to heal, would you say that it is challenging a certain mindset in you for you to fulfill purpose? Do you see that it is a certain thing that comes your way and it challenges you and builds your mindset up, and that enables you to focus on a certain purpose you have in your life? Do you see that there is a dot there? Would you call it that? Because I am thinking about the fact that you had that serious injury in childhood, you overcame that, and in your adulthood or your teenage years till date, you have been able to participate in over 15 marathons, simply trying to, as I said, reduce the time, get to that best self, that best version of yourself. And so you're competing against yourself at the time you made in the past and making sure that going forward you are doing even better. Would you say that that mindset is building something in you for you to be able to use those stories and those experiences to inspire somebody out there?
How I would try to frame it in a nutshell is, well, it is what you aspire to do. If you have your own aspirations that you want to achieve something, nothing is impossible. yes, it will be difficult for sure. Where, like, as you know that I'm a Toastmaster, I am already working in a corporate setup as a business development manager. But then apart from that, there are certain aspirations which I have, my family have. Uh, when you try to fulfill those aspirations, you tend to go beyond your own limits. You have to take risk. Sometimes you tend to withdraw yourself from taking up those challenges, those risks, because of the fear that whether if you lose, what is going to happen next? Probably you get demotivated, you lose something, and that tends to retaliate your own limits to go and do beyond. But if you sit back, you gain nothing. Why
That's
then?
true.
Why not go and face it off? I always have a fear of taking risk and challenges when it comes to doing a business, being an entrepreneur, which probably my wife always keeps on telling me that, Abhijit, why don't we do or start a business together? Why don't we do it? But I only always have this risk of investing time, investing my energy, effort, my minds, and investing money. Only thinking what exactly is going to happen if I lose, all gone.
That's true.
But then there's always a story. There's always a story on the other side, Patricia, because you only see that grass is always green on the other side. You see only on one half. What if luck favors, your effort really pays off?
That's
But
true.
that needs courage. That needs courage. So courage is the key word. What I feel is the courage that took me along to run those marathons, to really feel that even though like I used to get exhausted running 10 kilometers, now if this pandemic wouldn't have been there, I would have taken up the challenge to run a 21-kilometer half marathon, and that was there in my
Definitely.
cards, but that never happened. Exactly.
I love the fact that you touched on courage because it's one of the aspects that I cover in the chapters of my book, Fearless, Fabulous, and Flamboyant. And it is very important that, especially for those of us who are grooming ourselves to become leaders and to help others shape their own leadership journey, it is so critical for us to understand that you need to take courage, that even for us, no matter which stage in life that you find yourself, you will get to that point where you need to decide that, look, I feel this fear, but I am going to face it anyway. Because again, what is there to lose? If you know your purpose and you know that the competition is not about others or with others, but then you are competing so that you are able to challenge yourself and build yourself up incrementally, progressively to become that best version so that you are able to do more, whether in your community, at your workplace, for your country, etc. Simply just going beyond. So I love the fact that you touched on that. And I believe that aside resilience, that ability to bounce back from any setback, you have indeed built that courage and kudos to you. So now let's talk about what you do in the business development aspect before we get into your traveling and love for mentoring and coaching.
Okay. So, 2009, I graduated as a mechanical engineer and got a direct campus placement into one of the conglomerates, which was called as the SR Group. It's an India-based conglomerate, and having setups all across the world. And that's when I started off my corporate journey as a junior engineer into business development. And what exactly I used to foray was looking after the markets into oil and gas engineering and construction across the regions of Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, and India. My knack of traveling actually started, which anyways is a topic which we're going to touch upon sometime later, but about talking about more about the overall work that I do for benefit of people to understand. It is like whenever any oil and gas company, even if it's Ghana or it's in Kenya, like you have the Kenya refineries or you have the Shell and the Exxon Mobil, all these oil and gas companies spread across the world. They have plants, they have setups, they need to extract oil from either under the seabed or from under the surface of the land, and they have to refine that because these oil is pure crude oil, these is dirty oil, and if they have to be refined and used as a petroleum product, being served to the end user, which is us and anybody else, as petrol, kerosene, or any other diesel. Then it has to be processed through a plant, which is called as a refinery, which we probably know. And
Yeah.
to make this plant, there has to be designing of the plant. There are different equipments which has to be purchased for that refining process to being carried out, and there has to be construction. So people will go in and construct that plant. And the end-to-end version is being carried out by n number of consultants and companies across the world. Being a part, if I represent my organization, I'll have to pitch into the client and let them know that we are also one of those service providers who can help you to optimize your budget and can provide you with the best solutions that you are looking out at the different projects or the investment that you're willing to put in the kind of project that you envisage. The pitching, the final costing, building up the final cost for that particular product, selling it to the company for issuing the service order or the contract upon the company that I represent is
Yeah.
the exact role. So starting from pitching it from the first game, the opening game, where you go and reach out to the company, uh, try to convince them that we are the best solution providers that we can help you out with, getting the tender or the request for quotation, bidding for that project, building up a complete cost, and then submitting to the client, getting the work order is the actual work that I do, I get involved into. Once the work is awarded, it gets passed on to the project management team to take it forward from there.
Wow. And then for especially fellow Toastmasters who are listening to us, how has the Toastmasters journey and the educational program assisted you or helped you to actually perform and excel in your career? Because as you mentioned, it involves a lot of pitching, it would involve a lot of persuasion, and it would involve a lot of presentations to be able to get to the point. So, how has your journey been able to help you excel and perform in your career?
Okay. So until now, I have been in this journey of my career for 12 years and Toastmaster for 3 years. So before I joined Toastmasters, what I was as an individual, as an employee, and the next 3 years, which counts up to 12 years, is somewhat there is a difference. And the difference is very simple. There are threefold which I would like to just highlight in a nutshell. First fold is the networking that I have been able to really do with a lot of clients. And because at the end of the day, what happens is that if I reach out to a client and if I just discuss and share my ideas, I end up knowing that, okay, the client that I'm talking to for a particular project is also a Toastmaster, or probably they would have heard. And that's how the networking gets built, and that's how you build connections. So that is one fold. Twofold. The second fold is about pitching it right. Toastmasters has helped me, made me an individual to pitch in right and be very much precise and accurate. Earlier, I used to build up a story whenever I used to reach out to a client and used to tell them, and the client were never interested in knowing stories. What exactly you do, how best can you be when you're providing your services to us. So be right, apt, and to the point. That's what exactly I have learned in Toastmasters, and that has actually helped me to be very precise and to the point to the client of what exactly we are providing them and how can we help them optimize their budget, what they're trying to invest. And number three, obviously, is communication, because clients are spread all across the globe, starting from Indians or Americans, Westerners, Africans, Southeast Asians, Japanese, everywhere. So the common language is English. But if you are a bilingual individual where you know that the way you talk in India, people can understand, but not your everybody's English is as adverse as where Westerners or from people from the other zones of the country, of different countries, probably would understand. And that's exactly what has made me really be at self, where I can confidently talk to any person around, even if there's somebody from Canada or there's somebody from Australia, from Japan, or from anywhere, stands in front of them, and he's a client or probably a contractor whom I'm talking to. I can talk very freely. Earlier, I used to be very nervous, but then things changed. Be on the stage, be
Amazing.
presentable, deliver 5 7 minutes, and that's how it is. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. And in fact, I know we can go on and on, but before we wrap up our session, I want you to share with us your passion for photography. And if you can blend it with your passion or your hobby for traveling, and let's wrap it up with
Okay.
mentorship and then coaching.
Patricia, the thing is that traveling and photography goes hand on hand. If
That's
you love
right.
to travel, photography will be one element, and if you love photography, traveling would be involved. So both goes hand in hand, and I will probably synchronize both of them together. What used to happen is I never really had this fair idea of whether I have that knack or the thing in me to go ahead and click photographs. But it so happened that somewhere I did experiment with my photography skills some point in time about a few years back, and somebody appreciated that Abhijit, the kind of photography do you do is well good enough, and you can try to put your hands on into it. That motivated me. I said, okay, somebody did appreciate it. Let me try differently. And I started thinking beyond my imagination. Because when you do something into photography, it's not what you see, it's what people cannot see. And when they see it, they find something different. That is exactly what I mean. Even if it's a pen, if I'm holding a pen right in front of me, a photographer would be able to identify what exactly out of that pen should be clicked that makes people really feel, oh wow,
Connection
that's
with it.
photography. The connection with
That's
the audience. So I think, and that has actually led me to go on and travel and explore different places. Most of the places where I have visited, mostly I would say not more than India, I've traveled outside India, but either those have been for work purpose or with my wife on different travels. So wherever I've traveled, I have thought of exploring different places and different areas where I can just go and randomly click and try to make the best out of that photo image that I have clicked, and then share it.
great, great. And as you can tell, I mean, for our audience, if you can tell, I am not in my usual location. I've come to a different location, and I want us to talk about how location impacts on mentorship and coaching. Now we are mostly in the virtual world, and a lot of people in the past would have limited opportunities to network and engage to face-to-face meetings or being in the same location and environment with others. But we have come to that new normal where we know it is important to reach out, go beyond our current location. I want us to talk about mentoring and then coaching. How does location impact on mentoring and coaching? And what are the different tips that you would give to those out there who are listening to you and are either looking for a mentor or looking for a coach, or are there and they want to offer their mentoring and coaching skills, competencies to help others?
So, Patricia, and all the audience who are listening to me, based on whatever experience, I probably could be right, probably would be wrong, but there's a very thin line of difference between a mentor and a coach. What, as per me, a mentor is no one but allowing the person to do the way he or she wants to do, and then be as just as a support or a shadow to guide that person, whether that person is on the right track, and let them understand of what is right or wrong. A coach means someone who is going to handhold the person because the person doesn't really know what to do. There's a thin line of difference here. But when it comes to location having an impact on mentoring and coaching, I guess it doesn't really make a difference. Why? Is because of the last 1 to 1.5 years of experience that I have witnessed being in virtual medium, attending meetings all across the world. I've met a lot of people around, and it's the connection to have a good mentor or a good coach is just not language fold. It's not just depend upon a country, region, or language, what kind of language you speak, what kind of religion or race that you belong from. It's the connection, the emotional connect that you always have with the other person. A true mentor or a true coach, or either a mentee or a person who is coached, it is the emotional connect. That is how you build in that connection. The strong motivation factor should be seen in between the individuals. If I, as a person who is a mentee, and if I see somebody from any country being a mentor to me, I will have to understand whether that person, if I'm able to connect well with the person, if I'm comfortable, and if that is there, I don't think so that the location will have any impact whatsoever at any point of time. You can have mentors who are younger to you. You can have mentors who are from different countries, different race, different religion, anyone. What matters in mentorship and coaching is just the emotional connect and the learning guidance that you get from that individual.
Yes, the learning guidance that you get from that person, and that indeed builds up that synergy. And I believe that a lot of people have supported and contributed to your journey so far. So you can use this 1 minute to appreciate those who have been part of your journey. And then you can tell us, how can our audience reach out to you? So you have a few moments to appreciate those who have been part of your journey so far. I know there's a little pause in the internet connection, but if you can hear me, this will be your opportunity for your final words to share with us those who have been of support to you in your journey.
Patricia, if you can just repeat the question that you asked me, because I think there was a slight lag and I could not connect well.
Okay, so we're wrapping up the session right now, and I want to give you the opportunity to just appreciate those who have been part of your journey so far and help you, to build that synergy around you. It's still not clear.
I still believe that I have not able to connect well with you, Patricia. I think there's slight network lag from your side, but now I think now I can connect well. Yes.
Okay, so I wanted you to appreciate or just let our audience know that we don't develop and build up ourselves alone. So just to let them know those that have been part of your journey so far and how they can also tap into their own network and begin to form connections to help them as they go on their own journey. Okay, so I think there's still a little bit of lag, but this is where we bring our show to the end and draw the curtain on tonight's session, or this afternoon session, depending on where you're joining us from. It has been a pleasure coming your way with Abhijit Roy. For those of you who would love to know more about the Paris Horizon chat room and what it's all about, please stick and stay. Do listen to why we are here.
Do you have an inspirational, educational, or motivational story to share with us too? What's stopping you? Simply send an email to perisos.horizon@gmail.com. What is the Perisos Horizon chat room about? It's all about you. The Perisos Horizon chat room series, as stated by the initiator and host, Distinguished Toastmaster Patricia Salakai, is a platform intentionally here to nurture a culture of celebrating each other's notable milestones. She believes we must not despise our humble beginnings. Instead, we must find a community of like-minded people to support each other, create effective collaborations, and celebrate our small or big success stories. This will encourage us to keep persevering towards our next horizon. please subscribe to our YouTube channel at DTM Patricia Jifamen Salakai and like our Instagram and Facebook page at Perisous Horizon. Until next time, keep scaling higher heights.